Hello again. As you know, I am Eli the Computer Guy over here at EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. Today's class is cleaning an infected Windows PC. So we just had a class on how to tune up your computer. So when you tune up a computer, basically what you're doing is you're taking a computer that's already pretty much okay and giving it the equivalent of an oil change. You're deleting temporary files, you're defragmenting the registry. Basically, you're taking a computer that by and large is okay and you're just making it run faster. Again, like I say, changing the oil filter, air filter, etc. for a computer. Well, today's class is going to be how to try to save a computer that has been infected with viruses, spyware, malware, etc. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Today's class is going to be very much theory and concepts. We're not going to have any demonstration, and the reason is because the exact tools that you will use will most likely change every 2 to 3 to 4 months. The pieces of software you may use today to clean out an infected computer will not be the same ones that you necessarily use tomorrow. So if I gave you a whole bunch of demonstrations, they'd all be obsolete in 2 months and I'd have to redo this class, etc. The main thing that I want you to get out of this class is the thought process about how you're going to be cleaning out viruses. So don't so much think of the products themselves, but think about the process. What is the process? What are you going to be doing to try to clean an infected computer? Now the first thing I'm going to tell you about cleaning an infected computer is you should think about the situation you are in as to whether you're actually going to try to clean an infected computer. What I will tell you is if you are a consultant, if you're running around in the world with your own little tool bag and you bill hourly, I would suggest you do not ever try to clean out viruses from a computer. If you run out with a tool bag and you bill hourly, if they have a virus, just do a wipe and reload. The reason is because nowadays it is very difficult to get rid of viruses, and it's almost impossible to warranty that you will have completely gotten rid of a virus. So as you know, as a consultant, people don't feel so bad about giving you $200 or $300 to fix up their computer, but what they don't want is the next week to have to call you back for another virus or piece of malware, etc. If they're going to pay you $200, they want the problem solved, and if the problem's not solved, it's just going to be horrible. So remember, when you're trying to remove viruses and spyware, these things are real pains in the asses. The people that create new viruses are on a level of programming, engineering skill as the people who create QuickBooks and the Windows operating system now. These people are very, 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 very good. So you can do a lot. You can do 2 days worth of work on a computer, and the virus can kind of hide itself somewhere and then come back later. So if you're going to be cleaning out viruses, really the situations where you should do this is if this is for your personal computer or computers within your network, it can be worthwhile because you have the time to work on these computers. If it takes 2 or 3 or 4 days, it may not be a bad thing. If you are an employee, if you're an IT support person in a company and you work 40 hours a week and you get paid for 40 hours a week regardless, it may be worth it for you to try to remove viruses. Or if you have a system that for whatever reason you don't have the operating system disks anymore, you don't have the software disks anymore, etc., you simply cannot do a wipe and reload, then you can try to clean it, clean the infections out. But I'm going to tell you again, I push on you guys that you should all be consultants, you should all be billing, $50 to $100 hourly. If you do that and your client has a virus, just wipe and reload it. It'll be better because if you do a wipe and reload, you know the computer will be fixed when you leave. With these viruses now, again, these Estonian hackers, God bless them, they are amazing at what they do. Unfortunately, what they do is create viruses. So like I said, I've seen this time and time again. Remember, I had a shop. We had 1,800 work orders one year, and we always did wipe and reloads because when my employees tried to be nice and tried to just get the viruses out, we do a full, try to clean out the viruses, the computer would come back after a week. We do it some more, computer would come back after a week. All of a sudden, you know, you've had a client come back 3 or 4 times and they are just super pissed off about it. Now, as we're talking about, this is theory and concept. One of the things that you want to do as a professional is you want to come up with your own checklist for how you're going to try to clean infections out of a computer. Remember, you know, we're doing engineering here. You don't always have to fly by the seat of the pants for doing computers. When you're doing things like tune-ups, when you're doing things like cleaning infections out of a computer, it is best to come up with a checklist, and so you know your steps that you're going to take while you're cleaning out the computer. So you can say, the first thing I'm going to do is do CC cleaner and clean out temp files. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. And you have a nice little checklist. Because again, these viruses can be a real pain in the butt to get rid of. If you've forgotten what you've done, you may have to redo steps, and it's just going to take you a long time. Again, with this, as I've talked about, you know, situational, whether you're going to clean the virus out or just do a wipe and reload. One of the things that you really have to have in your head, even if you are an employee, even if you know, you have all the time in the world, is know when to say when. Some of these viruses, you get some of these rootkits, man, they're just impossible to get out of the computer. They really are. I mean, you would really have to be a software engineer to be able to rip every little piece of the virus out of the computer. So you really, you know, even if you're in the corporate world, you really have to know when to say when. When do you kill this thing? Do you work on it for 1 day, 2 days, a week, 5 weeks? Again, you're an employee, you're getting paid anyway. I'm not going to tell you how long you should be working on the computer, but you should have an idea in your head. You know, if I don't have this computer cleaned up in 3 days, then we're just going to do a wipe and reload regardless. So as we're going to go into the steps, I'm going to be talking about things like uninstalling software, installing antivirus software, anti-malware software, etc. One of the problems that you can have is when you boot up your computer, if you normally boot it up, it may be so fully loaded with crap that you really can't do anything with the computer. Like, so many processes start up, the computer comes to a grinding halt. Well, one way you can try to interact with the computer, if the computer is this bogged down with viruses and other garbage, is if you go into something called safe mode. So what safe mode is in a Windows PC, it's been around since Windows NT, so you're going to have safe mode. It's been around for 15 years. Basically, it boots up the operating system with the absolute minimal number of services. So it doesn't load startup items, it doesn't load a lot of stuff. Basically, it just boots the computer with just enough to give you a nice little GUI so that you can do stuff. How you get into safe mode is after you turn on the computer, after the BIOS screen blips off, you start pressing F8. So between the BIOS screen and the Windows logo, you start hitting F8. Just keep tapping on it. Tap, 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 tap. You do that, and then you will get a menu. It'll say like safe mode, it'll say safe mode with networking, last known good configuration, and depending on what version of Windows you're using, you may get 10 other options. For today's class, all we're going to worry about is safe mode. So what you do is you just select safe mode. It'll give you an option about whether you really want to do system restore or go into safe mode. You just say you want to go into safe mode, and then that will boot up with the minimum number of resources and services so that you can try to do things. So if you boot up into safe mode, you may then be able to go in and delete files, rename folders, you know, uninstall some software, that kind of stuff. The other tool that you can use is once you boot into safe mode, you can do start, run, and then you type in the command MSCONFIG, M-S-C-O-N-F-I-G. This brings up a tool that allows you to say what services, drivers, etc. you want to have started when the computer starts up normally. So there's some things that you can't do in safe mode. Sometimes you can't uninstall software, sometimes you can't install software. So if you type in msconfig, you can disable all the startup items, the normal programs that start up when the computer starts up. You reboot the computer into the normal mode, and then sometimes you have a chance. Like I say, it won't start as many pieces of software, so you may be able to get in there and be able to do some work on the computer. So those are the basic warnings for cleaning an infected Windows PC. Again, if you are a consultant, if you're running out there with your own little tool bag and you're billing hourly, don't do any of this. Basically, you sit down at the computer, they have a virus, you go, wipe and reload. You need data recovery with that. That is what you say. You don't do any of the rest of this. If you are a consultant, all the rest of this is completely and utterly academic. You should never do this. The only time you're going to be cleaning an infected Windows PC, again, if it's your computer and you have time to waste, if you're an employee and you have, your employer's salary to waste, etc. Basically, if you have more time than you know what to do with, if time is free for you, then clean an infected Windows PC. If time is valuable, don't. You just do a wipe and reload. That's it. And again, with this, make sure you come up with a checklist. Come up with your own checklist. What tools you're going to be using, etc. And also, as I explained with all this stuff, data recovery, fixing computers, etc. Know when to say when. Know when. Again, even if you're working 40 hours a week and you don't have to worry about your time, are you going to put a day into this? Are you going to put 5 days into this? Are you going to put 5 weeks into this? I'm not going to tell you how long you should put into trying to clean out a virus, but have it in your head. Make sure, you get to a certain point and you go, okay, I give up. I'm not going to be able to fix this computer, because some viruses, I'm telling you, some viruses are so nasty and evil, you will absolutely never be able to get rid of them. So if you just sit there working on them forever, that's not good for anybody. So again, this is cleaning an infected Windows PC. Give me a second and we will dive into this class. So let's talk about the first steps that you're going to take when you start trying to clean a Windows PC. The first steps you're going to try to take basically are going to be to try to contain the viruses and contain the malware so that they don't get any worse. You don't want the infections to get worse as you're trying to work on the computer. It's just a bad thing all the way around. Now the first thing that I want you to try to do is try to do something called System Restore. So if you're using Windows or Vista, you can just in the little run bar type System Restore. If you're using Windows XP, you can go to System Restore. Basically what System Restore does is it's not a backup routine. System Restore simply saves previous configurations of your computer, and you can go back to a previous point in time in your computer and see if hopefully the virus kind of goes away when you do that. So a lot of times people will install software on their computer. Well, that software really isn't software. Well, I guess it is, but it's really a virus. So sometimes, if you catch it very quickly, you can do a system restore to the point before the virus was installed, and then the virus goes away. You still want to do a full cleaning of the computer, but if you can go back before the virus was actually installed, it can make your life a lot easier. Again, one of the reasons why it's okay to try to clean computers in a corporate setting or clean your own computers is most likely you will get the computer right after the infection happens. So I've had this happen with myself, especially doing research. I go around on the internet, I'm looking at something, all of a sudden a virus pops up. I go, ah! And as soon as I go, ah! I hit System Restore, I restored it 3 days ago, and then I go through the virus scanning process, and it normally cleans it all up. One of the reasons that works is because I do that System Restore immediately. Now, in modern viruses, one of the reasons they're so evil is not only does a single virus get installed on your computer, but many times it'll actually start trying to pull in and install other viruses and other pieces of malware. So you're not just simply fighting one specific piece of malware or virus, that is actually trying to install other pieces. So the longer it's on your computer, you know, at minute 1 you have 1 virus, at minute 10 you have 5 viruses, after an hour you have 20 viruses, and now you're not just cleaning 1 virus out, you're now trying to clean 20 viruses out. So the quicker that you can try to do the system restore, the more likely it is that you'll just be able to eliminate that virus altogether. You'll be able to reinstall, you know, your security software and go on with your day. Again, whether if it's your computer, you'll most likely be able to do this very quickly. If you're in the corporate environment, again, you know, employees may dork around with their computer for a little bit, but after an hour or two, they're going to call the help desk and they're going to have somebody come to try to fix their computer. Again, the computer probably is not going to be too bad. The big problem that I saw as a consultant when people brought computers to us is, well, they started noticing the virus like a month ago. And so, you know, if they have noticed a virus on their computer for a week or more, again, the chances that you're going to be able to do anything with that computer is just very bad. So the first thing that I want you to do if you see a virus on the computer is do system restore. So do system restore to a few days previous, you know, go to 2 days before you think the computer was infected, and again, that may actually eliminate the virus, and then you can just do some scans and you're good to go. After you do the system restore, one of the things that you should do is you should secure the network that the computer that you're working on is using. So one of the ways you do this is by using OpenDNS for your router's DNS service. So we have a whole class on OpenDNS. It's about a 30-minute class. Basically, as you should know, DNS, or domain name services, is how computers map domain names to IP addresses. So basically, if you go to CNN.com, DNS is what turns CNN.com into 208.55.66.1. Then the computer is able to use that IP address to go to CNN.com. Well, how these viruses try to infect your computer with other viruses is what they do is they do something called phoning home. Basically, within their configurations, they have domain names, and they try to go out to those domain names and communicate with those home servers. Maybe they try to send data, maybe they try to bring in viruses, etc. So one of the things you want to do is try to stop that process. OpenDNS is a service that tries to block that DNS connection from happening. So basically, OpenDNS, their servers know most of the infected, horrible, evil servers in the world. And so when your computer tries to resolve the DNS setting to those evil servers, it will refuse and not allow that to happen. So again, like if you do something like if you open up Internet Explorer and you may see 50 pop-ups pop up, you know, so you open up Internet Explorer, you've been infected with some kind of porn virus, and so the home page pops up with a porn site and then 20 more pop-ups pop up. Well, each one of those browser windows that opens may try to infect your computer. OpenDNS will block those websites from being able to open. So basically you may get 20 browser windows that open up, but they'll all say domain cannot be found. So what you should be doing is you should plug in OpenDNS to your router and be able to secure the network where you're going to be working on this computer from. Again, we have a 30-minute class on OpenDNS, so go take that class. The next thing that you should do is you should change the password or put a password onto the computer that you're working on. Many people nowadays still do not use passwords on their computer. The problem with this is that these viruses can script themselves, or basically can do things on the computer simply using the username administrator with a blank password. So if you have no password on your computer, these pieces of software can do things like edit the registry, install other pieces of software, etc., simply because you have a blank password. So if you're going to be working on this computer, one of the things that you need to do immediately is put a password onto the computer. Make it a complicated one. Don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. The virus may know that. Do a complicated one that the virus shouldn't know. And again, that will stop the virus from continuing to do damage to your computer. Then the final thing that you should do is you should reset your Internet Explorer settings. So in Internet Explorer, you can open up Internet Explorer, you go to Tools, Internet Options, and then over there's an Advanced tab, and you can do Reset configuration. By resetting the configuration, you're going to reset all of the security stuff within Internet Explorer. You're going to reset ActiveX controls. You're going to reset the home page, all of that kind of stuff. So if you had a virus that has gotten into your computer and it's mucked with all of that, then it'll reset it back to its original configuration, and you should be A-OK. So these are the first steps that you should be taking to clean up your system. Again, nothing here is complicated. And again, whether you have a Windows NT machine or a Windows 7 machine, you should be able to do all these things. The first thing, again, as soon as possible, do a system restore to try to put yourself to 2 days before when the virus infected the computer. Then use a secure little network, that you're going to plug this computer into. I would say do your own little DMZ or demilitarized zone where only infected computers are on. So if you have a workbench, secure your workbench network so that the computer also doesn't try to infect other computers on the network, but basically you're going to secure that. And then the router, you're going to use OpenDNS, and that OpenDNS is going to try to block the connections when these viruses try to phone home and either send data or pull in new viruses. Change the password. Again, this is a big one. If you have a blank password, these little nasty scripts can run lickety-split, change registry settings and the whole 9 yards, and there's nothing you can do to stop it except change the password. If you change the password, then they won't be able to do that. And then finally, reset your Internet Explorer settings. Again, as we go further and you start installing software and trying to download updates and such, if your Internet Explorer hasn't been reset, it can cause a lot of problems. So those are the first steps that you're going to be taking when you're going to be cleaning up an infected Windows PC. Now the next thing that you're going to do is you are going to uninstall all the crap that is on the computer. Now, it is just horrible. It is horrible what users do to their poor little computers. They just install every possible thing that they find. They're like kids in a candy store when it comes to applications. They're like, oh, let me try this, and 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 let me try this. Many times, not only are the applications that they're installing viruses, but a lot of times the applications and the software that they are installing can just cause problems. As I've talked about, it doesn't take a virus to make a computer crash. It can just be very poorly written software. So, a lot of people, we've had this where they download free Java games. They just have a whole bunch of weird crap on their computer. So what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to uninstall all this crap. So free games, weather bug, weather dog, I don't know, whatever the name is, just all that free garbage. If you or your client needs it in the future, they can reinstall it then. But while you're trying to clean out the computer, get rid of it. Keep Office, keep Photoshop, keep all of that. But if you're suspicious about it, get rid of it. The client can reinstall it in the future. The next thing, when you're uninstalling all this crapware, is I want you, again, not just the crapware, not just the toolbars, make sure to get rid of all those toolbars. Toolbars are horrible as pieces of malware. Basically, they do redirection for Internet Explorer. They can just cause a whole bunch of problems. But beyond that, I actually want you to uninstall all the security software on the computer. Security software is much like condoms. One is good. 2, 3, 4, 5 actually makes it worse. You kind of want to think about security software the way you think about contraception. So one condom and one woman on the pill, that's a benefit. That works. So there's less likely that you're going to pop out a kid. Having 2 or 3 condoms is just going to be a mess, and nobody's going to be happy, and she's probably never going to sleep with you again. So what I want you to do is I want you to go in and uninstall all the security software that your client has probably put on the computer. Now, the first thing that you have to realize is every piece of security software can cause problems unto itself. So like firewall software can be horrible. It can shut down ports. It can cause all kinds of problems. Misconfigured antivirus software can cause a whole bunch of issues. As I tell everybody, Norton Internet Security Suite, oh, it's just painful. It's just horrible. I've made so much money off of Norton Internet Security Suite. It is horrible. So I want you to go in and I want you to uninstall all of it. Uninstall McAfee, AVG, Microsoft Security Essentials, WebRoot, Spy Sweeper, tune-up software. So if they have 3 or 4 different types of pieces of tune-up software, get all of that off of there. The reason is because all of this software is going to be trying to do changes to the configurations of your computer, and those changes may or may not be good. Just because the client spent $80 on a piece of tune-up software doesn't mean that tune-up software is worth a damn, and doesn't mean it's not causing problems to the computer. The other thing is I've seen you can have multiple pieces of anti-spyware software on your computer. You should never have multiple pieces of antivirus software on your computer. So you should never have Norton and McAfee, or McAfee and AVG, or Norton and Kaspersky, or Kaspersky and AVG. Never have 2 pieces of antivirus software on your computer. The reason is very, 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 very simple. There's something called heuristic testing. What heuristic testing means in the antivirus world is antivirus software used to simply look for specific files. So it would look like for a file called virus.dat. If it saw that, then it would delete virus.dat. Now, heuristic detection looks for overall patterns that looks to be like a virus. So if files get deleted or renamed or changed automatically, that looks like a virus. That's also what antivirus software does when it quarantines files or when it finds viruses. So you can have it where McAfee will be scanning your computer, and then Norton will be doing something, and then McAfee thinks Norton is the virus, and so it starts attacking Norton, and Norton thinks McAfee's the virus, and it starts attacking McAfee, and then everything just dies and goes to hell. This goes back to the whole condom thing. Only use one. So on your computer, again, in this class, I'm not going to argue about which piece of antivirus software you should use. That's up to you. I like Microsoft Security Essentials, but you should only use one. Only use Norton. Only use McAfee. Only use Kaspersky or AVG or Panda or Microsoft Security Essentials. Whatever the hell you use, only use one. Make sure there's only one piece of antivirus software on your computer. Now, many times you will find that antivirus software will not uninstall cleanly. So there's a big problem. I've seen this a lot with Norton, a little bit with McAfee, and even less with Kaspersky, where even when you uninstall the security software, you're still having problems because specific configurations have not been removed from the computer. So with Norton, you uninstall Norton, but there's still firewall settings stuck in that computer, and you still can't do the things that you need to do. There are specific antivirus software removal tools. So if you remove Norton and you're still having problems with your computer, Google Norton removal tool. If they have McAfee, McAfee removal tool, Kaspersky removal tool, Panda removal tool, etc. So if you uninstall the antivirus software, the security software off the computer, and it's still you have to get good at this. You have to know what you're doing. You have to do this a couple of times. But if the computer is still having problems, but it's not really like a virus problem, it's still having problems connecting to the internet. It's still having problems getting updates from Windows. It's still having weird problems like that, but it doesn't really look like a virus. A lot of times that's settings that are stuck in the computer from the antivirus software. So again, all you have to do is after you uninstall Norton or McAfee or Kaspersky or whatever, download the removal tool for the software from the manufacturer, and then that will rip out all those extra settings. Again, I've seen this with Norton, where when you try to run the uninstaller will just fail for some reason. You'll just get halfway through, and then Norton will say, I'm not going anywhere. So basically, you can use the removal tool, and it will just rip out Norton. When you're trying to get out the malware, the toolbars, etc., like a lot of times you'll have toolbars in your Windows Internet Explorer, but you won't be able to uninstall those toolbars from the uninstall wizard within Windows. What you can do many times in order to make it so they're not technically viruses and it's illegal, there will be the uninstaller within the folder in the program files where the application is stored. So if you have, I don't know, FreezeBox toolbar, you may not be able to uninstall it from the uninstall normal place. But if you go into C:, you go into program files, you go into the FreezeBox toolbar, you go into that folder, many times will be a little uninstaller executable there. You double click that and it will uninstall the application for you. Again, basically what they're doing and why you should go to the program files folder is if they don't give you a way to uninstall, then they're definitely being illegal and they can definitely get smacked. If they give you a way to uninstall the application, they just kind of hide it. Well, as it goes, they're kind of on the fuzzy, the gray side of what's legal or not. So basically, a lot of times they'll hide the uninstaller within the folder that the application or toolbar is installed. Now the final thing, if you're having a problem getting rid of toolbars, getting rid of some of the security software, etc., one of the things that you can do is you can rename the folder where that software is installed. So in order for the software to work, you always have to have pointers within the software pointing back to different files that the software uses. So if you rename the folder where that application is installed, those pointers will now point to a folder that doesn't exist. So if you just rename, FreezeBox toolbar old, uppercase OLD, when the application tries to go back to FreezeBox toolbar folder, it won't be able to find it because now you only have FreezeBox toolbar folder old. Get what I'm saying? Now, you most likely will not be able to do this when the computer is running in normal mode. So if the application is running while you try to rename the folder, you're going to have an error. So what you may need to do is you may need to go into safe mode, as we talked about before. So after the BIOS screen, you keep hitting F8, you go into safe mode. That boots the computer with the minimum number of services and drivers, etc. Then you go to program files and then you rename the folder for these little pieces of toolbars or security software, etc. So the second thing that you're going to do is after you try to do the system restore, after you do OpenDNS, after you reset Internet Explorer settings, etc., you change the password, then again, you're just going to uninstall all of this crapware, all of this software. So uninstall all the toolbars, uninstall all of the security software, uninstall Norton and McAfee, just uninstall all of it. Any software that you don't recognize that you think might be bad, uninstall it. If the client needs it, or if you need it, you can reinstall it later. Again, with all of this, remember with security software, I try to give you ways to think about this so that it makes sense. Think about security software like condoms. One is good, more than one isn't. It's just a bad thing. And again, with the antivirus software, I've had a big problem with this, especially with Norton, is it will not come out normally. You can't uninstall it normally, so you may have to use it. It's called the Norton removal tool. Just Google it. You can get it from the Norton website, and that will go in and it will rip out all of the software. So once you've uninstalled all the crapware, the antivirus software, all that on your computer, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to do a very quick tune-up of the computer. So with the tune-up, we had a full class, a 30-minute class on tune-up, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to go in, you're going to clean out the temporary files, you're going to disable startup items, and you're going to defragment the registry. And you're going to use this with a piece of software like CCleaner. So CCleaner is a free piece of tune-up software you can use. Again, the little PC tune-up class we had talks all about it. Basically, you can use whatever software you want, but you want to clean out the temp files, defragment the registry, and disable startup items. Now, the reason that you want to do these things is so that the rest of this process goes easier, because the next step, we're going to start installing the antivirus software and the anti-malware software, and so we're kind of prepping ourselves for doing this. Now, when we install the antivirus software, the security software, and it runs its scan, it's going to scan every single file in the computer. Now, if you have a bunch of temp files that you don't care about, it's still going to scan those files. As I've talked about, I have seen clients with 10, 20, even 50 gigs of temporary files. If you keep those temporary files on your computer, when you run the virus scan, it's going to scan all those files, even though you don't care about them. So you might as well delete them now. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go out, get CCleaner, CCleaner, you can get it from ccleaner.com or whatever piece of tune-up software you want to use. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to clean out all the temporary files. So that'll get rid of all those files, so when the virus scan runs, you're not going to scan files you don't need to scan. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to do something called defragmenting the registry. So the registry is the database on a Windows computer that contains most of the configurations for the operating system and most of the software that is on your computer. The problem is, in the Windows world, I do not know why, even now with Windows 7, this isn't from way old back when, even now with Windows 7, Windows does not clean up the registry very well. When you uninstall software, a lot of times, it keeps parts of that software in the registry. So by defragmenting the registry, it'll go through and it'll clean out all the crap that is in the registry. This will make your system just run a lot better in general. And since we're doing all these virus scans and everything, it'll just make your life easier. The final thing is I want you to go in and disable the startup items that you don't need to have run when your computer boots up. So again, we talked about things like WeatherBug, just all this little crap software. Those pieces of software will try to start when your computer boots up. You don't know whether that software is just dorky little software or whether that software is actually not only doing something but also bringing in viruses, bringing in malware, etc. So you want to try to disable anything that you don't recognize. I would say that the only things you don't disable are printer software and security software. That's what I would say is the only things you shouldn't disable. You can decide, but you want to disable as many startup items as possible. It'll make your computer run quicker just in general, and again, if there's some little malicious piece of software that you've missed, you'll be able to make sure that it doesn't start when the rest of the computer starts. So that's the next thing you're going to be doing is a tune-up. Again, clean out the temporary files, defragment the registry, disable the startup items. I would say use a piece of software called CCleaner, but again, there's a lot of different software out there. You can use whatever you like. So now we get to installing the security software on your computer. So we've done the first steps. We've tried to secure the computer as much as possible. We've tried to do the system restore. We've done the basic tune-up on the computer. Now we're actually going to go in and install the security software to try to protect the computer and try to rip out the viruses and malware. Now, what I have found doing this for 14 years is every security company, software security company, does something very, very well. The problem is they then try to package that thing that they do very, very well with a bunch of crap that they don't do very well. So you've seen these security suites pop out of the woodwork. So it used to be, if you bought Norton, it used to be Norton antivirus. If you bought McAfee, it used to be McAfee antivirus. If you bought Kaspersky, it was Kaspersky antivirus. Now they're trying to sell you entire suites. So it's Norton Internet Security Suite, McAfee Internet Security Suite, Kaspersky Internet Security Suite. So not only is it antivirus, but it's also anti-malware and firewall and backup software, etc. The problem is with these manufacturers is they do one thing very well, and then everything else is pretty piss poor. And it can cause problems. So what I would suggest you do is you always try to find the best in class or what is going to do best for you. So with me, I always install antivirus software from one manufacturer, anti-malware software from another manufacturer, and frankly I leave the firewall as Windows firewall. One of the things, again, when you're looking at security software, you don't just have to look at its ability to rip out viruses and malware, etc., but you also have to look at whether it is going to cause more problems than it's worth. Again, I hope I don't get sued by Norton, but this is all real world stuff. I've got to pay good money because of Norton. The reason is because Norton will do things like close port 80. What is port 80? Port 80 is the port that you use to get onto the internet, to browse websites. So I've had clients call me up, I can't get on the internet, I need to get on the internet now. You know, I run out there at $100 an hour, I sit down at their computer, I say, oh, you have Norton Internet Security Suite. You know, I right click, I do whatever, I reopen port 80, and now they're back on the internet. And they say, well, why did port 80 get closed? I don't know. Norton just decided to close port 80 today. Again, with some of this networking communication, I've seen Norton shut down printers. Because printing USB is actually a form of network communication, and so I've seen it shut down that part of network communication. Norton really is bad. I'm not even joking about that. So what I would suggest you do is you find the best in class of whatever you're going to be using. Again, best in class antivirus, anti-spyware, and then firewall. For me, what I prefer right now, 2012 already, is I like Microsoft Security Essentials for the antivirus software. I like Spybot Search and Destroy for the anti-malware software, and I like just the normal Windows firewall for protecting the traffic on my computer. Again, you may listen to those and you may think, oh, those are cheesy, those aren't secure enough. Well, remember, if the security software shuts down your computer, that's just as bad as a virus. So I've found this combination works pretty darn well. So what you're going to do after you've done everything else is you're going to find whatever piece of antivirus software you want to use. You're going to install that. You're going to find whatever piece of anti-malware software that you're going to use. Then you're going to install that. Again, the firewall, and you're going to install that. With the anti-malware software, even some of the antivirus software, right at this time, we're not going to do a scan yet. We're not going to do a scan yet. But you may have the ability to do something called immunizing your system. So like with Spybot Search and Destroy, they have an option to immunize a system. What immunizing the system does is it tries to lock down the system so new changes don't take place. So basically, as you do the next step, again, the virus isn't trying to attack your system and make changes. So at this point is where you should immunize a system. The next thing that I will tell you is I would suggest you do not use something called registry guards, or in like Spybot Search and Destroy called T-timer. What this is basically what will happen is whenever any piece of software tries to change a configuration on the registry, you'll get a little pop-up bubble that will ask you if you really want to do this change. The problem is with this is they don't really tell you what the change is. They'll just say fx.ppp.dll wants to change blah blah blah. And if you click yes, it'll allow it to happen. Here's the problem. If you click no, it won't allow it to happen. But the problem is, you don't even know what the hell it's talking about. So more times than is good, I have seen where you click no on something and then a change doesn't happen. So if you're trying to install updates, the registry guard or T-timer, whatever it's called, will block those registry changes, and then it's just, it's just horrible. Then it's just evil. So when you install the antivirus software, the anti-malware software, I would disable the registry guards. Again, in Spybot, it's called T-Timer. In McAfee, it was called Registry Guard. I'm sure Norton has their thing. I would disable it. Again, not that it's not theoretically a good idea. Not that it doesn't work beautifully. The problem is, it really is going to basically say, gobbledygook is about to change something to gobbledygook. Do you want this to happen? And it's Russian roulette on what you choose. If it's a virus and you say no, then that's good. You just protected your computer. But if it's a normal, average routine running on your computer and you say no, you may cause more problems than you realize, and it will just be all bad. So these are my thoughts on installing the security software. Again, I would say pick best of class for whatever you're going to use. Whatever you do, only install one piece of antivirus software. McAfee, Norton, Kaspersky, Panda, AVG, Foxprop, whatever it is. Whatever you decide, only pick one because they will attack each other. Anti-malware software, Spybot, Search and Destroy, Adware, Malwarebytes, etc. I would generally say only install one of those. You can install more, but remember, the more security software you install, the more problems that security-based software may end up causing you. And again, I would say, with firewall software is very good if you know exactly what you're doing. But even me, even doing this crap for 14 years, some of that virus software is just evil. I mean, it's just like, I've spent 45 minutes configuring firewall software just to be able to do something like remote desktop connection. I mean, it really can be a pain in the butt even if you know what it is. And again, remember with security software, if the security software keeps you from doing what you need to do, is that any better than a virus not allowing you to do what you need to do? You know what I'm saying? So that's the security software that you need to be thinking about. So now after you've installed the security software, the next thing that you're going to need to do is install all the software updates for your computer. So a lot of times viruses, malware, they exploit weaknesses in the operating system or in software that's installed on your computer. Well, the manufacturers of software many times will come up with fixes for those weaknesses, and if you install those fixes, then the virus just doesn't work anymore. Even if it's still on your computer, it no longer has the hole to exploit, and so it's just kind of sitting there twiddling its thumbs, and for all intents and purposes, it's dead. So the first thing that you're going to do is you need to install all the Microsoft updates. So this is all the Windows updates, all the Office updates, etc. You want to bring that computer all the way up to whatever the current updates are. And this may take a while. If you have to download all these updates, you can take 4 to 6 hours depending on what state your computer is in. But basically you're going to be installing the service packs, all of that stuff. The reason you want to install all the Microsoft updates first is many times when you go to install other updates, they require components within Windows to be updated. So like if you go to Dell and you try to download drivers, many times it needs the latest .NET update on your Windows computer. If you don't have the latest .NET update, then you just get this gobbledygook and it really just doesn't work very well. So the first thing that you want to do is update all the pieces of Windows software, Windows operating system, Office, etc. These little pieces of viruses can really exploit things in Office. And again, people don't think about updating Office very often. Then after you do that, the next thing you want to do is you want to update all the Adobe software. I do own a lot of Apple Mac stuff. I am not a Mac fanboy though. I don't particularly like the pretension of the Mac world. But one thing that I will say for Steve Jobs is he was correct to hate Adobe with a passion. Adobe Flash and Adobe Reader has major holes. Basically, you can have a very secure system and have that secure system be able to get hacked through outdated Flash and through outdated Adobe Reader. It really is true. It's not just Steve Jobs being Steve Jobs. He was right that Adobe is an insecure mess in a lot of ways. I like Flash, I like Reader, but it's insecure. So one of the things you're going to need to do is you're going to need to update the Adobe Reader software, the Adobe Flash software, and any other Adobe software on the computer. These can be ways that viruses and malware can exploit your system. The next thing that you need to do is you need to install the latest version of Java. I saw this a lot a few years ago, where Java is one of those things where a lot of people need it once and then they never use it again. And so a few years ago we saw a virus that exploited an old hole in Java. So we had a lot of people, they had installed Java, let's say back in 2003, and they had never needed it again. Well, the virus got into their computer. Since Java was there, but it had never been updated, it could then exploit the vulnerabilities in the old Java and cause all kinds of problems for the computer. Basically, all you had to do was install the latest version of Java, and again, there were no holes for the computer. So with Java, with Adobe, you also go into QuickBooks, iTunes, any pieces of software that your client is going to be using that they have updates for, you should update the software. Again, if you don't update it, you should probably uninstall it. It's going to update or uninstall. So if they have iTunes, update to the latest iTunes. If they have QuickBooks, update to the latest QuickBooks. Definitely do Java, definitely do Adobe Reader, definitely do Flash, and again, also do all of the Microsoft updates. Again, a lot of the viruses and a lot of the malware exploit weaknesses in old software. You'd be surprised how effective it is to simply update your computer. Many times, all you have to do is update your computer. And again, even if the viruses are there, the holes that they were exploiting no longer exist. So it doesn't really matter. So updating is a huge thing, and then again, also put the computer on automatic updates so the computer continuously updates going into the future. So now that you have updated the computer, so you've updated the operating system, you've updated Office, you've updated Word, perfect if they have it. They've updated QuickBooks and Adobe and Java and iTunes, etc. Now you're going to run this anti-malware and antivirus scans on the computer. You can run these scans simultaneously. So I would say if you install Microsoft Security Essentials, you can run a full scan at the exact same time you're running a full scan of SpyBot Search and Destroy. You can run them side by side at the exact same time. It's going to take a long time to do, so you might as well do them together. So at this point, run full scans. Again, you're going to have the option of quick scan many times or full scan. Do a full scan. If you've already seen that your computer is infected, you want to try to make sure that you rip out all that stuff. It may ask if you need to reboot the computer, so you may need to reboot the computer, and you may need to run the scans more than once. But you should run the scans, and at this point, cross your fingers, your computer should be fixed. If, at this point, your computer is not fixed, then you need to start going to Plan B. At this point, you need to start trying to find security software that may be able to rip out whatever virus or malware is on your computer. One of the pieces of software that is very, very effective is something called Combo Fix. So it's a free piece of software. I'll have a link somewhere. You can download Combo Fix, and Combo Fix tries to both rip out malware and viruses, but also tries to fix problems that the viruses or malware create on your computer. So many times viruses or malware will do things where they'll disable Task Manager, they'll disable or they'll hide the control panel, they'll disable or hide different icons or different things you need to be able to use your computer. Combo Fix will try to bring all of those back. So basically, if Task Manager is grayed out, many times Combo Fix will be able to ungray out the Task Manager, etc. Another piece of software you can try to use, if so far things haven't gone well, is something called Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes, again, it has like a free trial version that you can use. Again, this is another very effective piece of software. You can install it on the computer and you can run it. See if that cleans out the viruses that are still there. If that doesn't work, then just go onto Google, frankly, and start searching and seeing what you can do to try to fix your computer. Again, as I told you in the beginning, if you're disappointed, if you've gone through all these steps and your computer is still not working too well, as I said in the beginning, my normal suggestion is if there's a virus, you just do a wipe and reload right then and there. If you decide to start trying to clean out the virus, it can be a real evil pain in the butt. So if at this point the virus is not gone, you're gonna have to go to Google, and you're basically just gonna have to do a whole bunch of research and try to figure out what to do next. So like I say, you may try to do different scanners. Things like if the task manager is grayed out, or if the control panel doesn't exist, you can't find it, those are all registry settings. So if you can still get into the registry, again, Google search, do taskbar grayed out registry, Google that, and you'll be able to find the registry key that you need to change in order to get your taskbar back. The same with control panel, etc. That's assuming that the registry, you can still get to the registry. I mean, some of these viruses are really evil. So if you've gotten to this point and the viruses or whatever are still there, again, you're just going to have to Google, you're just going to have to do research. There's no set way to get rid of the viruses at this point. You're just going to have to figure it out. So once you've done all the updates and everything, then you're going to run the scans. If your antivirus scan doesn't work, if your anti-malware scan doesn't work, then again, try something like Combo Fix. Combo Fix is a very good tool. Try Malwarebytes. And basically just start trying to Google a solution. Like I say, I mean, this happens a lot. It's why I suggest that you don't even try to clean out an infected computer. But if you have to, for whatever reason, like I say, if this is a server and you simply don't have the software anymore, then at this point you're just going to have to start Googling and figuring it out. So that's the overall process for cleaning an infected Windows PC. It may seem a little anticlimactic coming to the end, but as I said in the beginning, in general, what I would tell you is if you come across an infected Windows PC, you should just do a wipe and reload. Just reinstall the operating system. As I told my own clients, they would come in with a virus, and I go, okay, so this is a wipe and reload. Do you have pictures that you care about? Okay, we'll add a data recovery to that. If you do a wipe and reload with data recovery, you know that you're giving back your client a solid working computer. If you try to get rid of the viruses, you never know if you're going to be 100% successful. Now, with me, I'm a bit of not quite a perfectionist on this, but when I give systems back to my clients, I want to be able to give them the gold standard. When I give my client back a system, I want them to know that system is going to keep on running until something else that has nothing to do with whatever the current problem makes it crash. So, if they bring it to me for a virus problem, the next time I see them, it'll be because the power supply died. Something entirely different. I don't want to fix a virus problem and then the next week have to fix it again. You'll hear a lot of technicians go, Eli doesn't know what he's talking about. I can clean viruses, no problem. And to an extent, they are correct. You can clean viruses out of the computer, make computers function properly 80 to 90% of the time. And that may seem like a lot, especially to you newbies. You may have only fixed a few computers in your life. So 80 to 90% success rate sounds really good. Well, in the real world, when you're in there and all you're doing is pounding out computers day in, day out, having 1 or 2 computers fail out of every 10 becomes a significant number, becomes a significant problem. So if you are a consultant and you're running around with your little tool bag charging $100 an hour, and 1 out of every 10 times you don't fix the problem, that means 1 out of every 10 clients is going to become irritated with you, and it's just going to get bad. It's just going to get evil. So what I would say is do a wipe and if there's a virus, do a wipe and reload. Especially if you're a consultant. If time is pretty much free to you, so you're working on your own systems, or you're an employee and you're getting paid salary anyway, then you can try to go in and actually try to clean out an infection, because it's going to take a long time. Doing the scans, doing the updates, etc. takes a long time. Even if everything goes A-OK, to clean out a virus takes 1 to 2 days. And that's if everything goes absolutely A-OK. When things start going badly, I saw my employees keep crap on the bench for 1 to 2 weeks and still not have the problem fixed. I'm telling you, it can just go on and on and on and just be completely miserable. So the first thing with the final thoughts is generally just do a wipe and reload. If you can't do the wipe and reload for some reason, or you have more time than money, fine, go and try to fix it. When you go to start cleaning viruses out of computers, I want you to come up with a checklist, even if it's for a single time, even for a single server. I want you to write down, and say, okay, Windows updates and Spybot search and destroy. Write everything down and then check off as you've done the process. Again, cleaning out a computer is going to take a long time. 1 day, 2 days, maybe even 2 weeks. Really, this can't happen. So you can't forget what you have done in the past. And if you start redoing steps, just like anything else, it's just going to waste time and it's just going to be bad. So I want you to come up with a checklist. The next thing that you need to do is you need to know when to pull the plug on this system. So even if you have all the time in the world, even if you're getting paid 40 hours a week and you don't have any other work to do, you still have to know when you've put too much effort into this project. Whether you give yourself a day, 2 days, or 5 weeks. I'm not telling you what your limit should be, but you do need to come up with a limit, because if you don't come up with a limit, you're going to be working on the system for a year. And you think that's a joke. So when you go to start working on your computer, you should be able to boot up your computer, and hopefully it should function well enough in the normal mode that you can start working on it. If you cannot start working on it, you will need to boot into what is called safe mode. So basically you boot up the computer, right after the BIOS screen you start hitting F8. You'll give you a number of options on how to boot the computer, and you can go into safe mode. If you go into safe mode, you will then be able to work in the computer, because safe mode only starts the processes and services that are needed just to get the GUI up and running, so the bare minimum. So a lot of times if you can't work in the normal mode, you will be able to work in safe mode. When you're in safe mode, you can also use a tool called MSCONFIG. So you go to Start, you go to Run, you type in MSCONFIG. This allows you to disable startup processes. So you can do selective startup. It'll only start up processes that you need, and you can reboot the computer. So sometimes you'll use MSCONFIG. So if you need to uninstall software, run some virus scans, etc., that way you can have a minimal number of processes start, but you still have more than safe mode. Once you put the computer on the bench, you're going to need to secure the computer to try to make sure nothing gets worse than it is now. Again, the nice thing is if it's your computer, or if you're in an employee relationship, you will most likely get the problem while it is still very new. Somebody will have a problem, or you'll have a problem, you'll immediately know you have a virus, and so you can do what is called system restore. So you do system restore. Basically, it'll try to restore the computer back to configurations of before when the virus happened. You'll still need to run virus scans, you'll still need to do the rest of the process, but if you can get your computer to a state before the virus got really bad, you have a better chance about being able to clean up the virus while you're working on it. Once that virus is entrenched on your computer, it's very difficult to get out. If you can move your computer back to a couple days before that virus got really entrenched, you may be able to clean it out a lot quicker. When you put the computer on the network, I would suggest you secure it on its own little DMZ, its own private network, and have the router connect to OpenDNS for the DNS service. DNS, domain name services, this is what resolves domain names to IP addresses, so CNN.com to 208.55.26.5. Well, these little viruses phone home based on domain domain names. They don't do it based on IP addresses. So by using OpenDNS, OpenDNS can block some of these malicious or bad domains so that your computer can't phone home. So that can be a way to try to keep the infection from spreading on your computer. The next thing is you want to change the password, or you want to at least put a password onto the computer. So a lot of people, their administrator accounts have a blank password. If you have a blank password, it's very easy for scripts to just do a lot of stuff to your computer. Really mess it up. By putting a password there, again, it tries to stop any more damage happening to that computer. And then the final thing is you want to reset your Internet Explorer settings. So Internet Explorer in a Windows computer affects more than simply Internet Explorer. The big lawsuit from back in the 90s where Microsoft was trying to say Internet Explorer was an integral part of Windows. Well, back in Windows 95, whether or not Internet Explorer was integral back then, I can't tell you. Now, in today's world, Internet Explorer affects more than your web browsing. It affects how you update your computer and a lot of things. So you want to reset the default configurations. Again, you just open up Internet Explorer, you go to Tools, Internet Options, the Advanced tab, and then reset Internet Explorer. This will put everything back to square one. After you do that, you want to uninstall all the crapware and all the antivirus software and tune-up software and all the security software that's on your computer. All this software can actually cause problems. So you want to get rid of all the toolbars, anti-spyware stuff, Java games, all the garbage that people put onto their computers. And I'm also saying that you should get rid of all the security software as it is right now. The reason is the security software may be corrupted, and especially with clients or even employees, a lot of times they install just a stupid amount of security software on their computer. They'll install multiple antivirus software. They'll install 5 different types of tune-up software, etc. Well, all of these pieces of software change configurations on your computers. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And so a lot of times they'll change the configurations and cause problems on your computer. So I would suggest you should have one piece of software for what you like. One antivirus software, one anti-malware software, and one firewall software. I suggest Microsoft Security Essentials for antivirus, Spybot Search and Destroy for spyware, and I just like Windows Firewall for the firewall software. Again, if your security software causes more problems than it helps, then is it really any better than the virus? Again, too, is you only want one piece of antivirus software on your computer. You can technically have multiple tune-up pieces of software, but antivirus software will attack other antivirus software and will crash the system. So McAfee will attack Norton, Norton will attack Kaspersky, Kaspersky will attack Panda, and it can cause all kinds of havoc. So antivirus software, again, is like condoms. One is good, 2 don't work so well. When you go to uninstall antivirus software, sometimes it does not uninstall properly. So again, remember those removal tools. Norton is huge for this. I've used the Norton removal tool hundreds of times. Literally, you'll try to uninstall Norton and it will just fail in the middle for some reason. So you use the Norton removal tool and that will rip out Norton, or if you use McAfee removal tool, it will rip out McAfee, Kaspersky, Panda, etc. When you're trying to get rid of the crapware on your computer, again, sometimes you will not be able to uninstall toolbars from the uninstall wizard within Windows. They just don't allow you the option for whatever reason. So you may have to go to C Program Files, find where the application is installed, and within there, a lot of times there'll be an uninstall routine. You click the uninstaller and we'll uninstall the software. Basically what they're doing there is they're trying to hide the uninstaller from you, but they still give it to you so that they're not technically breaking the law. Again, it's a pain in the butt, but that's just how it works. Sometimes you will not be able to uninstall the software cleanly no matter what you do. In those times, you will have to rename the folder where the application is installed. So if you have, like, say, FreezeBox Toolbar, let's say, you will have to boot the computer into safe mode. You have to go to Program Files, find FreezeBox Toolbar, and then rename it FreezeBox Toolbar Old. The reason is when the application tries to start, it'll try to go to the original folder name. That folder name has been changed. It won't be able to start, and therefore the application won't start for you. Um, After that, you're going to want to do the basic tune-up of your computer. Again, this is where you clean out all the temp files, you defragment the registry, and you disable startup items. The big thing is cleaning out temp files. When you go to run the antivirus scans, if there's all those temp files there, it's going to scan the temp files. If you have 50 gigs of temp files, it's going to scan 50 gigs of temp files. Is there any point to that? No. So just delete the temp files, and then you don't have to waste time. Defragmenting the registry, again, is just a good idea, and the disabling startup items, because again, if you have the crapware, you have the spyware, simply by disabling in the startup, a lot of times that will save you problems. The next thing that you need to do is, again, do all of the updates for your computers. Update Windows, so the Windows operating system, Office, etc. Do all of the updates. Then update Java, update Adobe Reader, Adobe Flash, update QuickBooks, iTunes. Again, a lot of these viruses look for weaknesses in old pieces of software. A lot of times, all you have to do is update your computer, and then you're fine. The holes and weaknesses simply go away. So even if you still have the virus technically on your computer, it can't do anything because the hole's not there anymore. So you would be surprised how often simply updating everything really does to fix it. Then finally, you're going to install your antivirus software, your spyware software, etc. You're going to immunize a system. Again, I don't want you using Registry Guard. So like in McAfee, it's called Registry Guard. In Spybot, it's called T-Timer. Any of the registry protection software, because again, it can cause you more problems than good. All you're going to see is a little pop-up's going to pop up at the bottom of your screen, and it'll say gobbledygook is trying to do gobbledygook. Do you want this to happen? And if you hit no, and it should happen, it can cause you, again, more problems than the viruses cause. Then, once you install all the antivirus software and all that, then you run the scans. You just run them, and hopefully you have a clean computer. If you don't have a clean computer, well, then the real work starts. Then, like I said, Combo Fix is a very good tool. Bleepingcomputer.com, I think, is where you download it. It will try to fix things like if your taskbar is grayed out, your control panel doesn't seem to exist, etc. It'll be able to fix those problems. It'll also be able to try to rip out malware, viruses, etc. Malwarebytes is another. They have a free or trial tool that's very good for ripping out nasty little malware and spyware and all that. And then past that, you really are going to just have to do a Google search. You have to go, okay, my task manager is grayed out. How do I get my task manager back? And then it'll give you an answer, and then you try to fix that, and then you do the next thing, and then you do the next thing, and you do the next thing, and you're going to find out how goddamn miserable it is doing the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It can really be horrible, but really at that point, that's all there is. So that is that's basically what there is to cleaning out your computer. Again, we didn't do any demos in this particular class because this stuff changes all the time. I am going to do classes on things like Spybot. I did do a class on OpenDNS before, but these technologies and these tools change. Every 6 months, I would come up with a slightly different process on how to do this because that's just how it is. So, these classes stay up online for years, so I don't want this to become obsolete in only a couple months. So I want you to think about the process of cleaning up the computer and then kind of, figure out how you're going to be doing it. Now, the final thing, again, like I say, is if you have a server that got infected with viruses and you simply don't have the software, if you have a client operating system, and you simply don't have the software, the first thing is if you're going to just keep this trucking along, make sure you do a backup of the system because you don't want the system crashing for some other reason later. So if you don't have the operating system disk, if you don't have the software disk and it crashes, then that's going to be bad. So make sure you do a backup of the system so that you have something. Then after that, if it's still infected with viruses, you're probably simply going to have to try to lock down the system as much as possible. So what this means is you look at the computer, so if you have like a server and it's doing something on your network but it's infected, then what you just start doing, and you can't just wipe it out, you can't do anything else, just start locking it down. put on a firewall to try to protect it from doing anything stupid on the network. Make the user account just a user account, not an administrator, so new applications can't be installed. Basically, if that system has to keep running, what you have to do is you have to just try to lock it down again so the virus can't get any worse. Just try to make it run as well as possible, and then like I say, make the user account only a user account, not an administrator account. Make sure like if Internet Explorer is infected, put Google Chrome or Firefox on there. Basically, you're just gonna have to try to work around it and realize that at any time the entire computer might just go kaput. That's why you would want to do a backup then and there, so if the computer goes kaput, at least you could get back to how it was. So that was the overall class on cleaning an infected Windows PC. Again, I really don't suggest it, but I'm a professional, you're a professional, so we should do this class. Again, if you clean up the PCs, I mean, it may work 80-90% of the time, and that sounds really, really great until, like I say, you're pushing out lots of computers. You're pushing out 5 computers a day. That literally means 1 computer a day will fail. 1 to 2 computers a day won't work right. Then you get a backup of angry clients, and it just goes to hell. So, as you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. As always, I enjoy teaching this class, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.